we will have some project formulation process and mechanism today in this session, which will talk about next step to project selection criteria, and this will help you to understand that what are the key ingredients in key elements, key activities in during the process of your project management, which you must take care of, which you must look at. And project formulation process observes few important issues which are unavoidable during this process. If you avoid any one of the process, any one of the step, any one of the mechanism, it will be very difficult for you to achieve your objectives and reach to your destination. So what exactly project formulation is? If you look at that project formulation, it is simply a scientific process of investigating information about the project. The more and more information that you can gather about the project, say for example, once you have selected a project, then you need to research on this when you formulate. So formulation is just like preparing a complete in-depth report, and in that preparation, formulation become first stage where you need to investigate, identify, use a scientific process through which you collect and gather the more and more information, that means complete information about the project, because more and more information would be there to decision makers, then they will be quite comfortable in making decision makers can decide whether to give green signal to project or to show red signal to project. That depends on the information, and sometimes a very minor information become a causal factor of red signal. And that is why project formulation stage is very crucial stage. Say for example, once you decide that okay, you will establish the BPO center. So decision of BPO center, that means selection of the BPO center, if was based on the most favorable condition situation against all other 9 options available. So you rejected 9 options, you selected BPO as a business option. But now in project formulation, when you are supposed to formulate complete project on BPO, then you need to research more in-depth and then get information about each aspect and present it into a presentable format, because it starts with the explanation of your objectives, goals, and justification of the acceptance of the project, why at all you have accepted this BPO business, or why you have accepted to start manufacturing, like last time we discussed in lecture, manufacturing of detergent soap. So if you have accepted this project of manufacturing unit of detergent soap, so why justification? So those will help you to understand in formulating project with a very detail. The major task of the project is to assess financial, technical, and managerial involvement and its justification, considering the resource constraints. Because initially, when you start any project, you have resource constraints. Sometimes you may not have the availability of raw material, sometimes you may not have the people availability, sometimes you may not have the financial availability, sometimes you may not have the technical knowledge. So all these may be a major issues. And the project formulation stage, initially when you gather information about the project, you are concerned about these areas, these core things, and information around these areas need to be looked into, investigated into. What are the stages of project formulation? We'll have 7 stages of project formulation. Usually, the first stage we use of feasibility analysis. When you decide about that you are going to adapt this detergent soap manufacturing, so your selection was based on the criteria of best suitable amongst 10, right? Now once you have decided one, then you need to understand about the feasibility, that if you are going to manufacture detergent soap, so practically how much feasibility is there with this detergent manufacturing. Feasibility means, say we sometime you may say that whether you have financial the economic feasibility or not. That means demand supply. We will discuss this feasibility analysis in coming slides, and we will discuss some of the points in detail separate lectures. Say for example, we will discuss this project design and network analysis in a separate lecture, financial analysis in a separate lecture, and project appraisal. So we will discuss 2-3 topics in a separate lecture. So it will require next 3-4 lectures as very important for your project formulation. Techno-economic analysis, project design and network analysis, input analysis, financial analysis, cost-based social cost benefit analysis, and project appraisal. These are 7 stages. We will discuss one by one these 7 stages. When we talk about that feasibility analysis, we need to look at that commercial and economic feasibility. Commercial feasibility and economic feasibility means do you have that commercial viability, demand in the market or not? What is supply of that product or alternate product? So this commercial as well as economic feasibility is there or not. Technical feasibility is about the technology you are using. So technical feasibility means, say for example, whether you go for outdated past technology, or you go with the present technology, or you go with the future technology. Normally it happens that you cannot adapt future technology directly if you are not having very sound background or business exposure plus backup. You usually go with the either present technology or past technology. Now in case of this past technology or present technology, how much feasibility is there about your soap manufacturing, if you take as example? Then technology is very important. How fast technology is changing. At the same time, financial feasibility means how much money you have in your pocket, how much money is required for this particular project, how many sources are there, whether you should take money from your friends, relatives, family, bank. So what is the feasibility of arranging money? And when you talk about this feasibility of arranging money, you must understand the costing of the project and the resources. These 2 things are very important to understand. Likewise, managerial feasibility, that means whether the skilled, unskilled, and managerial people are available or would be available, or you would be capable to hire professional for managerial post, skilled and unskilled people, and whether they will be available and they are feasible from the very first day in your price bracket or your financial constants. Then you talk about the social feasibility and acceptability. This thing is very important. Sometimes you establish a particular firm, business firm in somewhere in rural area, and you start working on that, but the social ecosystem, the society nearby, they are not accepting it. So social feasibility becomes a problem. Say for example, if you want to establish any you can say beer manufacturing unit somewhat in social rural area, and the people are not so much educated, so there may be some issue of social acceptability. So you need to understand about this. Altogether, this is moreover concern about the selection of location or site. When we talk about the techno-economic analysis, it means the technology that you are using and the economy of your overall business. So you must understand the optimum technology versus project demand potential. To what extent this technology is changing, at what rate this technology is changing, and at what rate demand curve is changing. So this relationship is very important to understand, because if technology rate change is very fast and economic demand curve is very slow, then it will become a problem that your product would not be absorbed, your technology would not be absorbed by the market, and this will become a issue. Economic strength of, obviously your firm economic strength to absorb technology upgradation. Suppose you start with the past technology, and very soon you are, you are bound to adapt new technology, upgrade technology. So whether you have that strength, economic strength to absorb that technology upgradation. So techno-economic analysis, this thing is very important. Say for example, today you start a particular you can say this detergent soap manufacturing unit, and you expect that after, say for example, 2 years, 3 years, it is going to change, the technology is going to change. So within 2 3 years, will you develop the economic strength, the financial strength to absorb that technology upgradation, you know load, or not? So techno-economic analysis is very important of any project before actually making investment into that. Project design and network analysis is basically a very systematic scientific approach of understanding the step by step sequence of the individual activities and their relationship with each other. Say for example, first activity is this, second activity is this, third activity is this, fourth activity is this. So it is sequence of activities. So when you design a network and analyze it, so you find that there are 10 ways to produce this product, and first method involves three activities, second method involves 5 activities, third method involves 7 activities. So you try to look at that whether these three networks, which one network is good. We will discuss this network design and analysis in a separate lecture in coming days. It identifies the flow of events. What event should take place first? What event should proceed after that? So, before final result, final production, how many events are in a sequence and what is the flow of that? In other way, you can understand that it helps in understanding the importance of previous and following events so as to have better process control. So we will discuss this network analysis in a separate lecture in a very detail. Input analysis is basically helps you to understand the various input resources. It helps you. It is a process of identifying and quantifying the project inputs. Project input means, say for example, you start a detergent soap manufacturing unit. You say that initially we require 10% of this type unskilled. we required 1 lakh rupees, we require this much of land, we require this much this technology. So all input resources, which usually in traditional we talk about that man, material, machine, minutes, money, method, so all m's. So you identify these m's and you quantify that exactly 10 people we need from very first day, right? And it is not only that identifying and quantifying, it is also to look whether we will be getting this supply of input continuously or not. That means sustainability of supply of these inputs throughout your project, and this is very important to analyze. Say for example, you fail to analyze that every day you may not get 10 people. Say for example, I'm just taking one example. You establish your unit in a rural area village, right? Your requirement is that you need 100 people, in your starting of your project, and you need 100 people every day, consistently 100 people, and you source those 100 people from the nearby village, unskilled people, right? And if you fail to analyze the rural people lifestyle and their need, personal need, then you will fail. Reason being, 100 people can very easily come to your factory or your unit in off season, but when they will when the season of crop farming season will come, you will be getting rarely 10, 20, 30 people, and you will get problem of getting 100 people every day. So assessment of the sustainable supply of these inputs, it is not only the manpower, it is also the money. Say for example, throughout project you say that initially you required 1 lakh rupees, then you will require 2 lakh rupees, then after 1 year you will require 5 lakh rupees, after 3 years you will require 10 lakh rupees. So whether throughout the project this supply of the financial money from bank or from any source can be maintained or not. Suppose you go to halfway and you see that the money is not available, or you are not able to secure or procure money. So again, this will be a problem. So input analysis is very important. It identify activities, determine the resources and individual requirements. Once you identify the activities, because when you go with the network analysis, every activity and every event would be on paper, and with that activity you can determine the resources required for that particular activity. And once you determine that how much resources are required for this process, then you can understand the individual requirement and quantify the input. You can say that, okay, in detergent soap initially we need 2 people for first process, 3 people for second process, 2 people for third step, and likewise you need 100 people. So you can very easily quantify it. Then totality you can say 100 people we need. So input analysis basically forms a basis of cost estimate. It also helps in financial understanding. You say that in totality you calculate that 100 people are required, and in 100, 50 are unskilled and 50 are skilled. So unskilled rate and skilled rate, and in totality you can calculate the cost. You can calculate with raw material the cost, and in totality you can calculate the cost estimate, and then you can make financial analysis. That means you can look at the sources of fund for that cost. Obviously, once it is cost estimate is very clear from the last input analysis, then you can understand about the fund requirement. So financial analysis is basically a relationship and understanding between cost estimate and the fund requirement. How much money you need to start your project, what would be the sources of that fund money. That means from where that money will come. That is the financial analysis. So if you need 1 lakh rupees, so you can say that 50,000 will put from my own pocket and 50,000 from bank. After 3 years you need 3 lakh rupees, so you can say that okay, after 3 years 1 lakh rupee will put from my own pocket of profit reinvestment and 2 lakh rupees will take from bank. So cost requirement, cost estimate and the fund requirement. See, these two things are very important aspect of financial analysis. We will discuss this financial analysis in detail. It also helps in evaluating other alternate investment opportunities. Say for example, you have 1 lakh rupees in your pocket, you say that you will invest 1 lakh rupees and you will take 2 lakh rupees from bank. So you also evaluate the alternate investment opportunities. Means 1 lakh rupees you are investing in detergent soap manufacturing. You understand with financial analysis that if you do not invest 1 lakh rupees into this detergent manufacturing unit from your own pocket, you take 3 lakh rupees from bank and you keep this 1 lakh rupees with you and invest in somewhere else, some other alternate option. So you can get more return. So basically when you analyze financial system, you understand that what are the alternate options available for investment. And you know that in financial analysis, the accurate cost forecasting, suitable mechanism of forecasting can reduce the risk of financial failure. Why we talk about this? If your forecasting is wrong, so your cost estimate will wrong, so your fund requirement would be changed and you will take more loan which is not required unnecessarily. You will increase burden and that will have a more impact on the financial position of the firm, and this may affect on financial failure. Social cost benefit analysis. Just like financial analysis, you talk about that input, how much money we will invest and how much money we will get back. And if we require 1 lakh rupees to invest into that project and we will manage this 1 lakh rupees from bank, friend and own pocket, and then you analyze that how much we will get return. So it is financial analysis part. Social analysis is also something like cost and benefit. What social cost that you are paying and what benefits you are getting or generated out of it is very crucial for any project, because social cost benefit analysis is now a mandatory activity that every project must looked at. The social cost must be inclusive in manner, means the social cost directly and indirectly must be added, that all entities will pay, and benefit that they can enjoy need to be analyzed. Say for example, government acquire land from farmer. So when we talk about that land acquisition for industry, government acquire land from farmer and farmer is usually owner of the land, and it is not that the single benefit from that land that he was making by farming and crops and all, but on other side there were some other benefits from that farm, indirect benefits. So when you take land of a farmer, so what social cost that farmer is paying? Farmer is paying social cost. He is not only losing the land, the livelihood, the earning source, the ownership, but he is also losing the social status of being a owner of a land, zamindar. So socially it will have impact. And what in return benefit you give? You say that we will give employment of one person of your family. Now, can you understand that the employment given by industry to one family member, that benefit would be equated, can be equated with the benefit that farmer was enjoying with his own land? No way. Because usually companies are giving, industries are giving class 4 or class 3 job to those people. And in that case, they are not able to even sometime sustain with the big family. They become class 4 employee, whereas a farmer is considered as a class 1 or class 2. If you equate in terms of the inclusive cost, inclusive, you know, cost they are bearing. So social cost benefit analysis of any project is very important. Whether they will get education, because with the farming land they were able to send their child to schools, maybe a primary school. But now what is happening? Their economic position will continuously go down. Look at the practical situation in the areas where industries are established, and there are very rare families which have grown up after that giving their land. So it is very important to understand this social cost benefit analysis. Look at that, what social cost society is paying and what benefit society is drawing with your project. And then finally we talked about that project appraisal, project evaluation. This is very crucial. We'll take this particular topic in a separate lecture, but here just to understand the project appraisal, you can understand that project appraisal is a process of consolidating the feasibility analysis, techno-economic analysis, design network analysis, input analysis, financial analysis, social cost benefit analysis. Inclusive information about all of these is consolidated and presented into form and then appraised. What these different parameters tells you about project, and then you appraise inclusively whether your project is good or not good. You should go with the project or you should not go with the project. And for purpose of investors, the mechanism of cash flow analysis is used to project the project feasibility. That means cash flow analysis. See, if I am interested to invest in your startup, so what data I will require? I will require simply one thing, that if I will put 1 lakh rupees into your project, how much return I will get, in how much time I will get, what would be the growth rate of my investment, what is sustainability of your project. So as an investor, what I need to learn about the rate of return. I need to learn about the time frame. I need to learn about the actual real return. Cash flow means 1 lakh rupees is invested, 1 lakh rupees is returned. So for example, in rural area, what happens? Neighbors are usually borrowing money from their neighbors. If you give 1 lakh rupees today to your neighbor or to your friend, say for example, your friend asks that, okay, you give me 1 lakh rupees and I'll return you. You give 1 lakh rupees, right? Then after 1 year, the person comes to you and says that, here is your rupees 1 lakh rupees and thank you very much. And you take that 1 lakh rupees from your friend and you are happy that your money is back. But if you are happy, then you are fool, because the value of rupee in last 1 year will be depreciated. The depreciation rate would be definitely 10% or 8%, 9% or 12%, whatever. depending on the economic condition. That means the money which is returned after 1 year as equal amount 1 lakh rupees, actually the real time cost of that 1 lakh rupee is not 1 lakh rupees. The value of that 1 lakh rupee is equivalent to 90,000 rupees if 10% depreciation is there. So your friend is taking 1 lakh rupees and returning you 90,000 rupees. So it is your 10,000 rupee loss. This is called discounted cash flow techniques. We will discuss in project appraisal. When we will discuss 4 methods. 2 methods, payback period and average rate of return. This is just like method that you use, that you give 1 lakh rupees and you take 1 lakh rupees back and you are happy that your money is back. But in case of discounted cash flow technique, internal rate of return and net present value method. Net present value method says that what is the net present value of 1 lakh rupees today and what was the value of 1 lakh rupees when you had given that 1 lakh rupees. So we will discuss these 4 methods in coming lectures, and this was all about that project formulation, that you need to understand some of the core topics we will take in next few classes, and that will give you more insight understanding about these topics. So this is all about today's lecture.